Well, I thought Kilmarnock would maybe have made it exciting for us getting into the last game of the season, maybe put up a bit of a fight and kept us in it, but I suppose we've only got ourselves to blame, really.
Well, that's the difference, really. Like, when you compare the two squads, like, you could turn around and say, oh, well, the quality in terms of the gap in general is closing, and obviously it's closed over the past couple of years, but at the end of the day, the big difference between this Rangers team and this Celtic team is Celtic have got players where it comes to the high pressure moments in the season, they keep calm, they get the job done. It's as simple as that.
I suppose that is what it is, because the high pressure moments, I mean, you look at the table, I think we've seen earlier without the old firms, we win the league with 3 points. Again, I'm taking that at face value. I don't know if that's some dodgy conspiracy spreadsheet or whatever, but if it does come down to just the old firms, look, we cannot be expecting to win a league having won 0 old firms so far this season. Obviously there's still one really big last important game, obviously the Scottish Cup finals. We've got a chance to make, the slightest bit of redemption, but 0 old firms out of 4 so far is simply no good enough.
Well, in any other season, we've always said it, the seasons are usually like won and lost in the old firms, and this season was a highlight of that. But the thing that I think the thing that drove a wedge between obviously the players and the fans as well, if we go back to the start of the season, was that really poor start? And we could put it down to Beale. I think throughout the season, as we've played, we had a bit of a paper over the cracks moment with Clement, but more and more I think the fans are not only, you can sit and blame the players, and the players are on the park, but at the end of the day, poor recruitment in that summer window, splashing cash on players that just haven't done the job for us this season has killed us. On top of that, we've still got a spiny a team in there that have proven over the past couple of seasons, other than the 55 season, which by the way was played behind closed doors with no fans.
Aye.
And we get to this another crunch point in the season where we managed to claw our way back. Clement doing an incredible job to get us to boost the morale and lead that chase. But the thing about a chase is, if you've not got the bottle when that chase comes to that crunch point, there's no point in chasing in the first place.
It's really disappointing.
It's so disappointing, and that's where the fans have, like us, have been the most gutted, is the fact that we had it was pretty much on a plate for us. Almost all we had to do was win.
Set up like a fairy tale as well, almost,
100%.
because you're there in the Old Firm games at a packed Ibrox. No Celtic fans, although we don't agree with that, and we'll actually maybe do a video talking about that in the future. The whole, letting the opposing fans into the stadium, it's ruining the derby, to be honest, but we'll go into that in more detail in a future video. I think it'll be good to touch on that before the upcoming season and give our opinion on what that situation is. But in front of a packed Ibrox, you have a chance to, go 5 points clear if we win that game, is that right?
Aye.
Something in that vicinity anyway, but you all but put the nail in the coffin with that game, I think. Now obviously again it wouldn't have been mathematically, but from a momentum point of view and that's where you wanted to be. You wanted to take that, like, if we could have written the season way back in August when it started and say everything is going to lead you up to here, an Old Firm at a packed Ibrox with the opportunity of going 5 points ahead of Celtic, having turned things around for an 8 point deficit, you would bite the horn off somebody for that at the start of the season, and it was that way. And what happened? We go 2-0 down, we claw our way back into it, we go, what was it, did it go 3-1 down and claw it back to 3 each or something like that? It ended 3 each anyway with a last minute Rabbi Matondo screamer. But again, that's what really gets you as a fan, because there's not even just, it's a huge opportunity, but it's also like a golden opportunity in terms of, like, you couldn't ask for a better situation to just go deal with them at Ibrox and really extend that lead to have that wee gap where you need to then go and drop points in 2 games for them to claw back. Do you know what I mean? It's severely disappointing.
Well, put it this way, like even after that Old Firm, it's still a case that, you know, where would we be if we beat the likes of Dundee, you know, Ross County, you know, Motherwell,
there's some
for me
unforgivable games there.
That turning point seemed to be that Motherwell game, but you can class some of the game as unlucky. But after that Motherwell game, I saw a team that looked like, obviously we've spoke about it before in terms of nervousness, all of a sudden passes are getting zinged to folk, you know what I mean, we're playing maybe that kind of direct football over the tap, trying to play in behind defences without any pace in the front line at all. It started to seem nervy, and we spoke about it even though we got called negative. I'm not trying to say we called it, but when we got called negative, that before, when we were making that comeback and clawing the points back, we were talking about the fact that you still need a performance, and it would come back to bite us.
And if you've been here for the start of the channel, you'll know we're not bullshitting here, because we've been about performance over result for the season began. And we're still about that at the end of the season. Obviously, when it was coming into the mega crunch time, you're like, right, I'll let you away with one game. I don't give a fuck if you don't perform well, just get the result. Like that game at Ibrox, I'm like, go out there and play the worst football of your life and win 1-0 with a deflection off what I call him's dish. I don't care. If
you have like if you back with performances all season, when it comes to the crunch point, you're allowed the performances where things just don't click, and you know what I mean, it's a high pressure game, it's scrappy for both teams, you're allowed the performances if you get the result. But
there's no swagger.
The thing that annoys swagger is the fact that on the lead up, you can, even though we're clawing points back and getting points, you could see the cracks poke through that team. You could still see the flaws all the way through it. You knew what were weak points were in the team. Obviously, the injury list was that as well. But at the end of the day, when you're going to teams like Ross County and Dundee, you're still the teams are expected to get a result regardless of who's in the park.
Celtic and Rangers do not have the same aura about them like they used to. I mean, the smaller teams in the league now, obviously they're still the dominant forces, right? And they, to a certain extent, they have an aura about them, but people know that they're no infallible now. They know they can be beaten. They know they can get results against them, even if it is a point. For the league. And you see at times both Old Firm teams going away to places like Kilmarnock or like Motherwell, and the opposing team playing some, you know, horrible football to watch. They're not even playing football, they're playing a low block with every man behind the ball. But these teams are just trying to figure out ways to take points off of Rangers and Celtic, and they managed to do it at points throughout the season for both teams. But where we faltered majorly is in the head-to-head. That is without a doubt. But we're still singing for the same hymn sheet that we did a month into Beale's reign, 2 months, I don't even know if he made it 2 months actually into the job, but early on in Beale's tenure, we were talking about performances, and we were talking about starting 11s. I can remember talking about starting 11s and saying, we actually need a starting 11. We've still not got a starting 11. It's the fucking last game of the season. We don't have a starting 11. Unbelievable. Coming in that Old Firm, 2 seconds, coming in that Old Firm, everybody's got a different opinion of who's going to play. What the fuck? We're fucking 4 games away for the season ending, and everybody's gone like that. I wonder who will play. What's going to be played? Who's playing where? I'm like that. Come on.
Well, that's the thing. Beale's tenure was, in the things we were spoke about the most, was no one really noticing a style of play.
Bring back Lammers.
Not really noticing what players' roles were and where they're getting played, and also on top of that, obviously the performance basis. And all we've done right is, I think Clement come in and simplified the game a wee bit more. But at the end of the day, as time went on, it almost as if we've kind of reverted back to that. There's times during the game where you're not really, you're only seeing a direct style of play, and it almost screamed desperate football. Now, obviously, there's no way that Clermont's putting out teams like when we are like one of the top 2 teams in the league, the wage budget we've got to say, right, we're going to go out against the likes of Ross County or blah 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 blah, and try and play really really over the top direct football. But the thing is, like, when it came to that pressure point in the season, I don't firmly believe he puts it to do that, but how many times do you see the likes of the boys sitting with a centre back, you boot it out to a full back who launches it up the park? How many times have you seen a goalkeeper, whether it was Alan McGregor, whether it was Wes Fodringham, whether it's Jack Butland, who when they receive the ball punt it up the park? It's never happened, and we were always shaky in the press in terms of old firms when we were playing that round the back football, but all of a sudden this direct football this season kind of came out of nowhere, and I think it is still a good tactic. You don't see a lot of teams do it, but it's still a good tactic if you've got pace up front. Yeah. But we don't. And the predicament Clermont's been in this season is the fact that
you're playing with 2 wingers, especially playing with, maybe don't need as much pace when you've got 2 up front, you're playing 2 strikers, but when you're playing a 4-3-3 or whatever, playing with 2 wingers, you know, that's a formation that requires an abundance of pace on the left and right wing. Especially when your fullbacks are going to play up high as well, do you know what I mean? And there's going to be loads of... So you need pace and an engine on both wings for your fullbacks, your wing backs and your...
and we don't have that. Like, that's the thing. You've seen a lot of boys getting floated up to Dessers, and I my theory is, and it's not true. I'm no Clermont, no close to the club, but I just say what I see. But it almost felt like the way we were playing was a mixture between this is all the players have kind of got at them at this stage of the season, and also the fact that maybe Clermont think to yourself, well, this tactic, I don't really know what to do with this squad here. The squad of players, I don't think it's good enough quality. He sees the cracks in it, he sees the flaws in it, and he thinks to himself, right, the best way we can do this is play this mere direct football, get the ball up the park as quick as we can and see what happens. But I mean, if he was with the team a lot longer, he'd probably have realised very quickly actually that our Achilles heel was almost that losing possession at the edge of the opposition box. Like, how many times have we seen it this season? We've lost possession at the edge of the box and teams have countered. Lonas Majowski was
I noticed that clear as day in the Old Firm actually.
Run straight through the centre backs, counter attack,
but
the ball forward.
They're very good in and around the box. Very, very good, and a lot of it comes for their players' movement off of the ball. Something that Rangers have always struggled with. We've struggled with for years. Very, very frustrating. Our movement off the ball kills us. I've just got to say it how it is, and I noticed it very clearly in the Old Firm. Whenever we get into the final third, we were losing it very quickly. Whereas they're able to hold on to it, play it from right to left, back again, wait until the space is there, find a man who's moved into space because he's been working off the ball, and we just don't have that. And again, it might be down to personnel, it might be down to how we play, but here's one for you. So I've seen Rangers have more shots in some games this season under Clermont than I ever have in my life. More shots on target. So obviously he was going a bit more direct, but there's times where he might, I don't know if he's broke a record in terms of the amount of shots we've had. There was one game where you're I think 40 plus shots. Do you know what I mean? Something that you don't always see. Like, something was clearly working in an attacking sense. Obviously they weren't getting converted, but there was at least chances been made. I don't know if that was a change of asking people to hit it more for the edge of the box, but for me, I think going into next season we've got obviously we need to do a full rebuild, right? But I'll just say what I think needs to happen. We need a team that can press for the front. We need a team that can press as a unit. Do you know? That's, for me, that's, you can worry about your defence, how good your midfield is, but I think defence in modern football starts for your attackers, believe it or not, and being able to press properly.
The thing is, like, nowadays, obviously, because of money and stuff like that, like, it's hard to find player loyalty. It's hard to find that you get the play for the jersey and stuff like that, but it's mostly I play for my employer. You know what I mean? I play for my coach. Obviously, you come into a team like Rangers, you may well fall in love with the way of life, the fans and stuff like that. But it's getting extremely hard to find the Barry Ferguson's, the kind of attitudes. So, literally, if we're getting into the summer, you want to be, as you said, you want to be looking at hard workers, folk that no matter what, you're going to get a shift at them. And we've had players like that before where they just go in the park, they put in a shift every time, they're off the ball movements constant, they've got a good engine on them, and they're switched on the full game.
So if you're enjoying this season recap, then to check out the last 20 minutes, head over to the Blue Sea Patreon, where you'll be able to see the last 20 minutes. Again, your support's really appreciated, and we like to try and build our community over on Patreon with the Blue Sea chat room. Again, you can get early access to different videos, and there's going to be loads of more perks available on the Patreon. So if you feel inclined, then want to see the rest of the season recap podcast, head on over to Patreon and check it out.
Links in the description.